Hi everybody, this is Dee. I just completed the Hippy Dippy Cal tote, and I think it turned out pretty cool. Obviously in this video I'm going to show you how I went about making it, but what I wanted to tell you real quick is the rules are in the description box for the Hippy Dippy Crochet Along. There is prizes. And I hope you guys have fun. And leave comments below if you liked it or not. Alright guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi everybody. We're going to start this Hippy Dippy Cal. This is the Tote-Ally cool Hippy Dippy Cal. So welcome. Alright, so I'm going to show you, before I get started with all the different yarns together and all that, I'm going to show you the basics. Okay, first of all, for our Hippy Dippy Cal, you're going to need a crochet hook. We'll talk about when we get all the yarns together, a different size. This is a 6, but I'm using an 8 on the Cal. Okay, so this is what we need. We need a measuring tape. We need a stitch marker. We need a darning needle, a pair of scissors, and your crochet hook. Okay, let's scoot that over to the side. Okay, I'm just using some scrap cotton yarn, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. Well, I'll show you how to do that too. What we're going to do to make our tote. And this is the basics, the basic stitches we're going to use. This is not the yarn I'm going to use. I'm going to show you the basic stitches, and then I'll also show you as I make my Hippy Dippy Cal. Okay. Alright, so in order to make a slip knot, this is how I do it. Everybody does it different. Do it however you want. I hold it with my thumb. I wrap it around. I cross it. I take my hook. I go under. I grab that other one. And I pull it out. And there it is. Okay? So that's how I make a slip knot. Okay. In the Hippy Dippy Cal, you can only use 3 stitches, which is going to be chain, single crochet, and double crochet. That's one of the rules. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do each of those stitches for the beginners. You OGs out there, you know how to do it, but the beginners may not. So I'm going to show you how to do that first, and then I'm going to get into actually using the yarn for the Hippy Dippy Cal. Alright, so we got our yarn slip knotted around our hook. In order to make a chain, you're going to go under the yarn, grab the yarn, and pull it through. Under the yarn, grab the yarn, pull it through. You see how it's making a chain? Under the yarn, under the yarn, under the yarn. Okay? So basically, that's how you do it. Now, this is how I hold my yarn. Everybody holds it differently, but I can judge my tension with my pinky. That's why I do it. If you can see how I'm holding it, that keeps my tension consistent. It's very important when you crochet to keep your tension consistent so your stitches are the same size. Because if you don't, let me get this knot out real quick. If you don't, you're going to have, okay, I'm just going to let it go. You're going to have loose ones like this. You're going to have, or if you're a tight crochet, you're going to have these little teeny tiny ones like this that you're not going to be able to stick your hook back in when you're making your project. Okay? So that's why I do what I do. I judge my tension with my pinky finger. I was just messing around with my house plants and I got something on my hand there. Sorry. Okay, so we're going to make a chain. Then, like I said, you just kind of grab it, pull it through that loop. Grab it, pull it through that loop. Okay, so there's our chain. All right. Now, the next stitch that you're allowed to use is a single crochet. Now, what you do to do a single crochet is you make a chain. You don't go in this hook or this stitch here where your yarn is coming out of. You go in the next one over. You stick it through, pull that yarn through. Now you got 2 loops on your hook. Grab the yarn again and pull it through. We'll do it again. You stick it in the next one. Grab your yarn, pull it up, pull it through. Okay? That's how you do a single stitch. Now let me get down. Oh, I'm starting. Okay, so that's a single stitch. Let me get this all single stitched. I'll be right back and I'll show you how to do the double stitch. Okay, this is a real super basic crochet for beginners. I made it that way intentionally because we're going to use multi-strands of yarn and we don't want hard stitches. We want the easy stitches for this project. Okay, so I'll be right back and I will show you how to do a double. Okay, I reached the end. Here's what the single crochet looks like in the chain. Okay, how do you start the next row? Well, how do you start the next row? I'm going to do a double crochet. So I'm going to crochet 2 chains and I'm going to turn my work. Some people do 3. I think that's too much, personally. But to each his own. And what you're going to do is yarn over. This is a double crochet. Go into the next stitch. Make sure you have both of the, parts of your stitch. You'll see there's two. Make sure you have both. Grab some yarn. That puts 3 loops on your hook. Grab the yarn, go through 2. Grab the yarn and go through 2. Wrap it around. Go in your next stitch. Oh, that's going to give you problems. There we go. Yarn over. 3 loops on your hook. Go through 2. Go through 2. Okay? So that is how you do a double crochet. Now, I am going to personally do my tote in double crochets because I want to be able to weave stuff in and out of the stitches. Like in, out, weave things in and out of that. Okay? So that's what we're doing. Now, you can do any pattern you want to do. You don't have to follow along with me, but the only rules to this is no fancy stitches, only the stitches that I mentioned, the 3 I mentioned, which is the chain, the single, and the double. Okay? Those are the only stitches that I'm going to be using in the tote, and that's the only stitches that are allowed in the rules. Okay? All right, let's get on to it. Let me show you how to, I'm going to get to the end and show you how to do your next row of double crochets for the absolute beginners. Hold on. Okay. You crochet right up to your very, very last stitch, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so we got our chain, we got our single, and now we've got our double crochet. Now, then, if the next row is going to be a double crochet, you're going to chain twice again and turn and repeat the process. Okay? So that's a simple way we're going to make this tote. And that's, like I said, for our absolute beginners. But I wanted to show you the process and how easy it is for folks that don't know. Okay, so let me switch up. I'm going to get the materials that I'm going to use together, and I will show you what that is. I am also grabbing a size 8mm hook, which is a much larger hook than the one here. Okay, I'm going to grab an 8mm hook because we're going to use multiple strands. The minimum in the rules that you are allowed to use is 3 strands at the same time. And I'll show you what I mean by that, but I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe I'm going to use 5 strands at the same time using an 8mm hook. Okay? So, I'll be right back and we'll get into it. Okay, so I've got 5 strands of yarn here that I'm going to be using. One is the scrap yarn. I believe this is Ice Magic Glitz, not 100% sure. The next was a scrap carnival where I used a small amount of it from Hobie, and it's very colorful. That's the whole point. We want lots of color, things you wouldn't put together, things you don't think match, different weights, different fibers. This is a Loops and Threads facet yarn. I used a little bit out of it. It has some sparkle, so I want to put that in there. And then I have no idea what kind of yarn this is. It is a number 5 weight, as you can see. I didn't tell you, but this is a 4, this is a 5, and the other 2 are DKs, okay? Now, the 5th yarn I'm using, now those are all in cakes. So when I pull this out, I just smooth it out as I go. Now that I got them all jumbled up, I just smooth it out as I go. Let me take a knot out. Okay, so I'm crocheting. I've got all 5 of these. I smooth it out as I go, and I pull consistently my yarns, and they'll straighten out, okay? Now, the other thing I wanted to show you is that I'm also using this ladder yarn. It's I think it was by a company called Berlinen. Anyways, it's a ladder type yarn. Now, this is not pulling from the center. As you can see, it comes off of the ball itself. So it's going to sit in Ethel so it can roll around at the same time as all the other ones are in my big bowl. Okay? So that's how I'm handling that. These ones will pull out of the center. This one does not, so I'm putting it in a separate bowl so it can bounce around and do its thing. Okay, now I've got my number 8 hook, which, as you can see, where's my camera? There we go. It's kind of large. It's kind of a large hook. Okay, but we need that when we're dealing with so many different yarns all at the same time. Now, like I said, the rules are 3, but you can use as many as you want. I'm using 5. Also, the rules are it has to be colorful. You can't go with all one color. You know, whatever. It needs to be as hippy-dippy as possible. You know, various weights, various fibers, scrap yarn you got around, this novelty yarn stuff that's, you know, ladder. I'm going to start out with this, but I'm going to be adding some other yarns as we go. You know, once I feel like, okay, that's cool, that's good enough, then I'm going to throw in maybe, you know, this eyelashy fur yarn, or this sachet. Oh, I'm out of focus here. The sachet yarn here. You know, I will throw those in later. But how I am going to do for now is the 2 DKs, the 1 4 weight, the 1 5 weight, and the 1 ladder yarn. Okay, so I'm going to do my normal... You know, whenever you're trying to show somebody something, you ever notice that it just doesn't go as smooth as it does normally? Okay, so we're going to grab all these yarns together. In your case, you can do just 3. I am going to make a chain. Now, I don't stitch count. Never have, never will. Okay? Let me pause for a second, and I'm going to figure out how long I want this chain. Okay, I've decided on 30 inches. Now, I'm going to make kind of a larger tote, but you don't have to do that. You can make any size. You can use any pattern. It's just the way I'm going about it. It's the rules and the way I want you to do this for the Hippy Dippy cow. Okay, so you can make any pattern you want. I am going to make a long rectangular shape. This is for our beginners, using primarily the double crochet. Okay, and then I will show you how we're going to fold it and turn it into a tote and add handles and all the things that I have in store, the embellishments. But for right now, I'm going to chain a 30-inch chain, and I'll be back. Okay, my 30-inch chain is done. 30 inches, there we go. Alright, so our next step, now just a little tip, as you're going along when you're using multiple yarns, is you kind of go like this and pull you out some. Make sure, see how that yarn was bunched up? Make sure that it's all, there we go, it's another bunch, so that blue, and you just make sure that it's all equal and running good. That blue one's giving me trouble. Let's straighten that out. Okay. I always pull out, you know, about this much and then hang it over the table. Okay, so we have our 30-inch long chain right here. Okay. All right, so my next row, I always do a single to start out with. And make sure you have all your loops on. Every once in a while, take a look and say, if you got 3 of them, say 1, 2, 3, just to make sure. This is, you know, gets a little crazy with all the different yarns. Okay, so I'm going to do a single all the way down. And I'm going to stick it in my first stitch. Grab it. And pull through. Now, let me show you a little trick I do most of the time when I'm using multiple strands to keep it from getting hung up. Okay? So let's do it. I put it in and I go under it like that to pull it through. Under it to pull it through. And it seems to work out better that way when you're using multiple strands. Once again, I grab it from the bottom. Whoop, make sure I got all my pieces there. And again, grab it from the bottom and pull through. And that'll keep you from getting hung up. Okay? So pull through, under it, and pull it like that. Okay, so this is what we're doing. This is what it looks like with a chain and a single. Okay? And I'm going to go all the way down the 30 inches, and I'll be back. Okay. I've got my row of singles done. Look at all the different colors coming out. I don't know if you can see the sparkle. But I've got my row of singles done. Okay? Now we're at the end here. Let me move this out of the way. We're at the end here of our row. Okay? So what we're going to do is chain 2, like I showed you in the beginning. Turn our work. And we're going to double crochet all the way down our 30 inches. Okay? I will show you how to do that. Oop, there we go. Pull through 2. Pull through 2. Yarn over. Pull through 2. Pull through 2. Yarn over. Pull through 2. Pull through 2. Starting to change colors. It's one of the things I love so much about doing these hippy dippy projects is you really never know what colors are going to come out in your work. Isn't that cool? And we're making a solid fabric. Look at the thickness of that. This is going to be a very nice tote that you're going to be able to carry anything you want in it. And it's not going to stretch all up on you. It's not going to, you know, rip or whatever. This is something that is going to last. And it's cool. It's totally cool. I love that. Noelle, one of the subscribers to the channel, we were in a live talking about the Hippy Dippy Cal, and she brought up that name, Totally Cool. And I love it. So we're running with it. Thank you, Noelle. Okay, can you see what I'm doing here? I had it too close there. See, all the colors are starting to come out. I don't know if you can see the sparkle. You can see little glimpses of the ladder yarn shining through. Very hippy dippy. Very cool. I like how this is coming out. I am going to do all 30 inches. And then I will come back to y'all. Just continue working. Now see, the reason I'm doing the double crochets is I want to take ribbon and weave it in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. which I'll show you when we get to that point. But we're doing this whole thing in double crochets, okay? So I will get back to you as soon as I get to the end of the aisle, and then we'll discuss how many rows, I don't like to count rows, how many inches I'm going to make mine. I haven't really decided yet. It's really going to kind of come out to however big it is once I decide that's good enough. And I'll let you guys know how wide I'm going to make our rectangle. Okay, so we're making a rectangle shape, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so I'll see you at the end of this aisle. I'll show you how to turn around and come back the other way, and then you could just start doing yours, and I will come back and show you how big I've decided to make mine. Also, if I change yarns, or when I change yarns, I'm going to put that in here too, because we're going to make it so the only tail you got is this one. And if you switch up yarns and all that, you're not going to have to worry about it. Okay? So I'm going to continue on, and I'll see you guys at the end of this row. Okay, I reached the end of my row. It's looking pretty cool. See, you know, the whole point of this, here, let me move this bowl over, is to put colors together. Would you put these colors together on a norm? I wouldn't. Would you put this with this? Nah. Would you put that? No. These are not colors or yarns that you would normally put together, okay? So that's the whole point. If you don't have variegated yarn, you could use solid yarn, but just make sure they're all different colors. And also, too, Mama G is having that rainbow for Pride Month crochet along. And if you did it in rainbow colors, you could double dip. You could enter it in her cal and enter it in here. And in both places, there's prizes, right? Okay, so here we are. We've got our first row of double crochets done. Now we are going to chain 2, or our second row, chain 2, turn our work. I'm going to hang this down on my lap because it's getting, there we go. Okay, same principle. Yarn over, go in your first stitch. Second stitch. Go every stitch all the way down. Okay? Now I'm going to do a few rows. Okay, because we made this 30 inches long, I want to make it like a rectangle. So I am going to make mine approximately 20 inches wide. Okay? So that's what I want you to do. I want you to just continue on with these double crochets. When I go to switch up the yarn, I'll be back and I'll show you how I do that. But I'm going to do a few rows of this before I switch anything up. But I'm going for approximately 20 inches wide because I want a rectangle 30 inches long and 20 inches wide. Okay? So that's what I'm going for. You guys can do it how big or how small, whatever, you know, if you want to do a round bag, you can. If you want to do a rectangle, a square, however you want to do it, this is creative freedom and making our hippy dippy cal. Okay? This is just what I chose to do. Okay, sounds like we're going to have a dog alert. So I'm going to continue on, and when I go to switch some yarn, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. This is how it's looking. Don't look cool? Those are colors you would never think to put together, and they turn out really cool. All right, the reason I'm back is because I'm running out of the 5 weight. I only got a little bit left, and so I'm just going to cut this off and save that little piece to maybe throw in a tassel or something like that. Let me get this out of here. Okay. All right, because that's all I got left, so put that to the side. I think I'm going to throw this fur yarn in here. Now let me show you what I mean about not having to have any ends. You're just going to take the 2 pieces, tie them together, Am I showing you? No, maybe I better scooch it over a little bit. Hold on. There we go. Let me undo it. Okay. Take the two pieces, tie them together, just like you're tying a knot. Tie them together, pull it tight, and what we're going to do is crochet right over the top of them. And watch. Okay, so we're going to do a double crochet. Now here's them pieces, so let's push those into the front. Let me get all my... Okay, push those into the front. Kind of hold them with your thumb. Continue on with your stitch. And now you're just going to crochet right over the top of them. Ta-da! No magic knot needed. We're throwing in some of this feathery yarn now. I'm having trouble with it. Hold on. I need to put this in a bowl and get it out of my way. Okay. There we go. Okay. We're just covering up those ends. Don't have to get all fancy. You can change colors as many times as you want and do exactly this. See, the whole thing is, because we have all these different size yarns and whatnot, they are going to, I got to get this in a proper spot so it flows. They are going to cover up any flaws, and the whole purpose of this is not to be perfect. This is hippy dippy. We don't want it perfect. Right? Ooh. See, sometimes you get hung up, especially when you got this feather yarn. Just take it slow. I'm trying to do it too fast. There we go. The guys are out here taking the scrap metal so that we may have dog alerts. But anyways, I got to get this set up in the right spot. But that's how you do. You just cover up your ends that way, and you're good to go. I'm going to have to pause because of dog alerts. We got a tractor going across the yard, and they're not having it. All right, I'm going to continue on. Remember, we're making this piece 20 inches wide. I'll catch up with you when I got to switch yarns again. I just wanted to show you. When you got your yarn set up right, things go a lot smoother. Oh, I got some blue going nuts. See that loop in the blue? There we go. Gotta smooth that out as you go. Okay. Anyways, yeah. It's not so hard when you got your yarn in the right spot. You know, you gotta make sure that yarn comes out of the ball or comes out of the cake or whatever it is. You gotta make sure that it comes out smoothly or it's gonna hang you up. Okay, I love this. I'm going to have to put some more of that in there, huh? Yeah, it looks cool. All right, I'm continuing on. Let's see, where's my measuring tape? What do we got so far? We've got 8 inches. So we got a ways to go. All right, guys, I'll be back. Okay. It ended up not being 20 rows because I wanted this in the middle. I ran out of this, and so I wanted this in the middle, and it ended up being 17 inches, so it's 3 inches shy of the 20 inches. Okay, so this is done, except for I'm going to put a row of single crochets along this edge because they're on this edge, and that'll help us when we're sewing it together and all that kind of stuff. So basically, to do a single crochet, we're gonna chain 1, flip the work, and we are going to go down this whole row in single crochet. Okay, so when we get done with that single crochet all the way down that row, our next step, did I even show you my single crochet? I don't know if I'm in focus here. Okay, once I get done doing this single crochet all the way down the side, then we'll decide on how we're going to do it, how we're going to put it together, and then comes the fun part, the embellishments. Okay, that's it for right now. I'll be right back after I've got my single crochet all the way down, and then we'll talk about putting it together and then the embellishments. All right, guys, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, now that we got the bulk of it done, I'm gonna take my darning needle and I'm going to sew up the edge. Now I have taken the 5 weight out of this to sew up the edge. As you can see, I've only got the other 4 thinner yarns, and this is, you know, an ending piece that was up here. I leave that to the end because I never know where I'm going to put a tassel. I can always weave it in later. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this first stitch and this first stitch. Okay, and we're just going to do a typical sew, but I am going to take the end and tie it on this. I have to call Judy. That was Alexa reminding me to call my daughter. Okay, so we're just going to leave that. And then we're going to take, if you can see the edge here, we're going to go into every single stitch all the way down. And pull it tight. Just go into every single stitch and sew it up. Now you know, if you wanted to, you could do a slip stitch and crochet it down. You could do a single crochet and seal this up. But I'm just doing the stitches because I like the way it looks, quite frankly. Ooh, so I'm going to have to re-thread my needle. So that's why I am doing it this way. Okay? So you can see how it's looking. Go all the way to the bottom, and I'll meet you at the bottom. Okay, I'm at the very end, and I'm gonna just kind of go in here on this corner, and I'm gonna loop it around. Oops. Pull it really tight and cut this off until I decide what I'm gonna do with it. Okay, now we got that sewed up. Now I think we're going to do some embellishments. I think I'm going to figure out, I got some of the Darn Good yarn. I picked this because it has some braided areas. I thought that was kind of cool. Of the Darn Good yarn. I got some of that. I got some of that sachet stuff that I was showing you guys. This stuff's pretty cool. It's got iridescent sparkle. I got some of this Darn Good yarn. It's kind of thick. I also got some eyelash yarn. And I got some of this left. So, I haven't decided what I'm going to do. But I'll be back and I will show you. Okay, I got one of these big darning needles. You don't necessarily need one. You need one with a big eye if you're going to use this sachet because it wouldn't fit in the other. I'm using the sachet yarn, and then I'm using 2 different colors scraps I had of that ladder yarn, okay? That's going to be my first thing. You know, this is one of those decide as you go. Alright, I am going to go and be in and out I don't know what that is. In and out of the stitches here. You know, we're doing, matter of fact, I should go over here. We are going in and out of those double crochets that we made there. It's a little harder to do at this angle. And we're going to go in and out. And pull that through. Okay, and then when I get to the bottom, of this, I got tangles going on, I'll fix it. When I get to the bottom of alongside this blue, I'm going to loop around and come back up, or I may just end right there and leave a tassel hanging down till I decide what I'm doing with the bottom of the purse. And I'll show you that in a minute, but I'm going to, I think I'll leave the tassels, and I'll do a couple, one on this side, whatever, and then I'll be back to show you. But right now, I'm using the sachet and 2 of the ladder yarns here together. I had to switch over to this darning needle because it has a larger hole to hold that sachet. Okay, so I'm just winging it, guys, and that's what I want you to do. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, let me see if I can get it in camera. Okay, so I came out the bottom, and I'm just leaving this piece because it may turn that into fringe on the bottom. Okay, so I'm up here at the top, and I am going to go in and go back. And that way it just loops around here at the top. Right there. Just loops around, and then you're not going to have no fringe up here. So for each color that you weave in, make sure that you go up and then down again, and then you're going to cut it off to match the other one for fringe if you want to do that. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to put black on this side and then put black on the other side of the blue here. I'm going to run black on that side as well. And then I'm going to start adding some of this stuff and some of this stuff and probably some eyelash yarn, you know, just some different things. I'm going to weave in and out, always doing it twice to loop it around the top and give fringe at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to do that part, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so in each one of these, I weaved either a piece of this ribbon or a piece of that sachet yarn. I weaved in and out, brought it down to the bottom here. Let me see, is it showing up good? Brought it to the bottom here. Now right here I did not weave it into where the feather yarn is. I'm going to do something else here. I may put a tassel here or something to hang down in the middle. But this is what I've got so far. I'm probably going to cut these a little shorter. But that's what I got so far there. I'm probably going to put a tassel or something in the middle. Then up here at the top, I'm going to put this large button right here in the middle of this. And then I'm going to single crochet, which I will show you. Single crochet a loop that can be brought over and put around this button to hold the tote shut. Okay, and then after that, we're going to work on the handle. I haven't decided what I'm doing with the handle yet. And then I'll put on some other embellishments as well. But that's what my next step is. So I'm going to sew the button on here and probably put a tassel down here towards the bottom and cut off the tassels I have on there now to make them shorter, the fringe. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do, and I will be back. Okay, this is what I decided to do at the bottom. Hope you can see. Wait, let me move it up a little bit more. I cut the fringe off. I put a tassel in the center, and I put some of those bells on it. Then I put a line of those bells here, so they wouldn't tangle up in my tassels. But they're here, so they will bell. I think I'm going to put a trim over the top of this, because I don't like the way the red looks. Alright, top part. I put the big bead, or the big button here, and then I took some of the scrap yarn and sewed it onto the bag itself and left a little tassel. And then I took the green feathers and I hot glued them underneath the button so it won't distract when I do the single crochet loop here to hold our bag shut. And then I took that little dream catcher I made and I just sewed it on there. So there we go. There's that part and the bottom. So now that's done, except for I'm going to put some trim over top of this red here, because I don't like the way that looks. So I'm going to put some trim over that red, and I have picked out some handles. I wanted to make my own handles, but then I got these in the mail from Temu, and I thought, why not? So these are leather handles. As you can see, they've got little holes in them so you can attach them. And 2 of them I got for 92 cents. So you can't beat that, right? But that's 2 plain Jane. So we're trying to hippy dippy this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this sari silk and I'm going to wrap it around the handles to give them color as well. And I think that'll do good. I'm just going to wrap it around and probably hot glue it so it stays flat around my handles and attach my handles. So I will be back when I've got my handles attached, or I can show you how I go about that. And I'll be back after I've glued on the sari silk, and I will show you how to attach the handles onto the side of the purse, also to do the chain to go around the big button up at the top, and I am going to put some kind of trim over this red to cover it. So I'll be back once I've got that completed. All right. Okay. I covered the handles with the sari silk. I just hot glued them on. And I put this black glittery trim on the bottom. I like that better than the red. And so that's on there. Now we're going to put the handles on. So you go directly to your side seam where you sewed it up. And you put this down on there. Let's see. No, I don't think I like the handles that short. Alright, change of plans. I'm going to put this right here and, count my rows. I went over 2 rows and put it, and then go over 2 rows and put it, and then I'm going to sew it down. Of course it's going to give me trouble. I'm going to do this not on camera, so I'm not trying to keep it in the camera view, but I'm going to sew this down and sew this down, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'll be back. Okay, here's the handles are on, and there is all the embellishments, and here is the edging with the bells. And here's the bottom with the tassel and the bells and the fringe. And that is it. So I hope you guys had fun making it. The rules for the contest will be in the description box. And I can't wait to see what you guys make. This is going to be fun. All right, be looking for those rules in the description. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.